So normally a movie comes out and it's a hit and that's it. But then, like, there's an article comes out, the #1 most illegally downloaded movie in history, Wolf of Wall Street. With like 239 million illegal downloads.
Wow.
It beat out Frozen, right?
Beat out Frozen.
Then my daughter calls me. She's like, Dad, I'm in the University of Michigan football stadium, and there's a song, there's 50,000 people pointing at me, chanting your name. There's a song, Jordan Belfort. I'm like, what? So suddenly the movie, it went like this, boom.
Back up again.
It became a cult hit. And
wow.
It's probably one of the biggest cult hits of all time.
Welcome to Full Speed Podcast. I'm Eric Dalius, your host. Welcome to my home here in Miami Beach. We have a very special guest here with us, and you're going to be in for a very, very good treat here. Mr. Jordan Belfort, welcome to Full Speed, baby. We had a great time with your mastermind, and it was totally awesome. You know, it seems like all these people talk to you about the sex and the drugs and all that stuff's great. And I love the movie, by the way. The Wolf of Wall Street, unbelievable. Yeah. One of my favorite all-time movies. And now I'm actually sitting here with the real Wolf, baby. The Wolf. Yes. I know that we had this mastermind, and it was really cool. And you provided some great value. And the guests that you brought in were spectacular, talking about crypto and NFTs and all those things were awesome. By the way, what did you think about the New York Times article?
It was like, I think it could have been better or worse. It was very
down the middle.
It was like nothing.
Yeah.
I really thought he'd do a better job. I mean, I wasn't disappointed. I did not like it. I just I don't know. It was like interesting. It was so much more exciting things to talk about than he didn't take that angle. He just kind of went like, here's what there was a mastermind. This is what happened. They went to Carbone. They speak about this. Right?
There were 600 applicants.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Well, the reason that we only we actually was 10 people, not 9, but one guy couldn't make it. He paid. Oh. And he's got a credit for another one. He couldn't last second. Something happened with his family. Couldn't make it, so we'll just go to the next one. Right? Yeah, it was like, you have to be really careful when you do that because you can't do more than 10. After that, you don't want to pay that much money to have people there. Right. It's more of an intimate experience. And after a certain, I think 10, I've tried 12, it wasn't as good. The only difference is this one, maybe I could have had another 1 or 2, and I had other applicants I just pushed off to another one, is that usually I'll do the hot seat where each person gets their chance to, but it wasn't that sort of mastermind because it was just so much interesting stuff being just discussed organically, right? And the guest speakers and that I just think it didn't even go in. I asked everyone, hey, what's your biggest thing? And it didn't really, no one was like, well, I need to solve this problem. It wasn't really about that. It was more like just, people exchanging information. And there was one novice there, which was pretty interesting, right?
Yes.
Ruben was great, right?
Nice guy.
And I think that overall, I think everyone had a great time. Everyone really enjoyed it. And I've already done deals with a bunch of people. For example, with Sultan and I already done a deal.
Oh, awesome.
I hooked him up with a huge player in Argentina that's starting a Bitcoin mine down there. So that's already happening.
You had 3 of them were in the Bitcoin mining business.
Correct. So one was more in used equipment. And and we're doing an event with him as well up in Texas with their kid Britt. I love that kid.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Those were 3 of them were repeats.
Yeah, I was mentioning that here, and it was really interesting because, and how long ago was that, by the way, that you did your last mastermind?
It was probably 6 months ago, but it was a regular general entrepreneurship mastermind. This is just strictly a crypto mastermind. And 3 of the people there were repeats, which is obviously a really great sign that people enjoy my masterminds. They get value out of it. But the best one was, I think, Britt. This kid's he was so young when he came to my first, 3 years ago. And I was like, oh man, I hope this kid has a good experience. It seems like he was so shy and he ran with the information that he got, and he's really successful. He's a multi-millionaire, and smashing it in the Bitcoin world,
Yeah, and he brought one of his workers, employees with him. Great young kid, 21-year-old, and really was dialed into the crypto scene, and that's what I like about what you brought, that value, that NFT side. That's how we got hooked up here, because someone attended one of your speeches that you gave here in Miami, and you spoke at one of the NFT conferences.
Right.
And the information got passed along to me and says, you need to be at this mastermind.
Yeah.
And so...
And they actually brought in an NFT expert, by the way, Eric Dalius, right?
Yes.
So I think that, listen, you know, I know a ton about NFTs, but I like to have, like, there's a specialist, I'm going to call them, like Andre's a specialist at raising money. She does that for me right now. She's awesome. Chase is great at like the sort of the DeFi interest rate stuff like that.
I thought he was great at entertaining too.
Yeah, he's very funny. He's funny as hell, Chase, right? He's a
we love Chase.
Personal friend of mine, right? And then Beatles is obviously Beatles. Is just like very impressive guy. Been in Bitcoin since the very beginning.
Yes.
He's friends with all the guys that actually run the whole thing, you know, the exchanges and stuff.
Yeah, like he got in like in 2011 was like
$1. He made billions off of that, and him and I are in business together. We own a that's the recurring payment thing is Beatles.
Oh yeah, no, we got to talk about that. Yeah. Love that.
And so yeah, I just think that, and there was other my bookkeeper was nervous. But I wanted to spend at least some time highlighting security.
Yeah.
Because if you don't watch that in the beginning, you're gonna get fucked. Like,
yeah, listen, I got hacked. You got hacked.
And I think 3 people there had gotten hacked. One person had lost probably, I think it's now $50 billion.
Yeah. The value's grown so high. It's unbelievable.
Right? And so I think that but I think that we're still in the beginning of the beginning here. I'd say we're almost at the end of the beginning, maybe.
Right.
Of this whole crypto. No, I would say we're probably in the. No, I think we're actually in the beginning of the beginning, actually. Still.
Yeah, there is a tremendous upside, and you know I was fortunate to be heavily involved. Discovered in 2014 the Bitcoin, and really got heavily in about 2016. And as I saw in 2017 going up, I said, "Whoa, 10,000." I need to do a little what I call cherry picking off the top, you know, and I want to go ahead and feel what this feels like cashing out, and you know, and I saw it go up to 20. I said, let's go ahead and keep shaving, and then it started going down in January. Yeah. I think because you were saying it's going to go to 0.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I made a really, really good call. I mean, it's like right almost to the day. I got on TV and said this is gonna crash and burn. And I was right. What I was wrong about is I thought that it would never come back. Because usually when you have things that have no fundamental value, since it's not a company behind it, you can actually say there's intrinsic value, right? All you have is a network effect, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. Everything I've seen in all my life, and I'm not alone in that analysis, right? There are a lot of really smart people that agree with me, and probably many still doing it, baffled by
the comeback.
I think there's a lot of people that still are like a Warren Buffett or a Jamie Dimon. They're like, you know, they'll do it. Like Jamie Dimon will try to be a custodian for it because he sees there's money to be made, but he thinks it's worthless.
He's trying to figure out how to get his hands in the middle of the transaction.
I don't believe that. I'm very bullish now on Bitcoin, but it took me many, many years. And I think that, you know, in some level, when you're really financially sophisticated, and you also come from where I came from, where you know what the fraudulent side of things can look like. Like, I know how pump and dumps work better than anybody on the planet. And there's so much shit. I mean, listen, and I guess the problem with crypto is that while it's legitimate, Bitcoin is legit. If there was legit, there's a lot of amazing stuff like that. There's so much fucking fraud in the crypto world, and so many bad actors. There just are. And I get criticized for saying some idiot on Twitter will say, "Oh, we fucking," you know what? Fuck them. You know, it's the truth. And regulation is needed because there's so much great stuff too. And once the regulation is there, and a few people go to jail, deserve to go to jail.
Well, it's interesting because I stayed away from all that ICO action. And back it was all the rage in 17.
That's
I was on my way out. 17 retirement. Okay, and I was selling off in 18 hours. It was going down. You were yelling from the rooftops there saying it's going to 0. I'm out, right? And so I watched that market go all the way down to 3,000, and then I saw it come back up again. And I said, wait a minute, I've seen this play before. I got back in July of 19. I was so pissed.
You're lucky. That's really where
I was actually pissed.
Too, but not till late. I crossed over 10,000.
Yes, he crossed over 10,000.
I got back, started getting back. For the first time, that was when Beatles actually got me in.
Okay.
He got me in, finally. And the way he did that was, hey, by giving me a Bitcoin, right? And also...
That's always nice.
Not just that, but his view was far more sober and intelligent than a lot of the nonsense I was hearing online. Like, there was so much nonsense and bullshit that drowning out the legitimate voices that were talking about Bitcoin in a realistic way. Like, there's all these people out there saying it's going to replace the dollar in 3 years. It's going to be $1 million. It's going to be a 500. It's such fucking bullshit back then, you know. So it really, to me, it clouded the picture so much, and at least it prevented me, and I think a lot of other people, from jumping in earlier.
Yeah.
Things like the Ethereum that are amazing, and all this, there's so many amazing protocols out there, and so many shit ones. Yeah. So I'd say for every good one, there's probably 100 shit ones.
You know, it's interesting. From a Bitcoin perspective, I like the Michael Saylor Bitcoin and chill, and that's what I've been kind of doing. And I've been shaving a little bit into Ethereum. And I've been avoiding the shit coins that you talk about, but I got to tell you a quick story. I got a phone call from my gal at Tiffany's the other day, and there's a Tiff coin that came out. And I said, if Tiffany's putting this thing out, I think I'm in. It was like 10 grand, right? And I said, I want to buy 3. You know, I'll go ahead and when it triples in value, I'll sell one off. And then when it 10Xs or 20X, I'll sell it and I'll keep the other one. Well, they limited to me buying one, and I got it right here. They sent it to me. There's only 499 of these in the world, and they're numbered. Number 470, and it's an 18 karat. It's an 18 karat gold. What do we get access for? I don't know yet. But it's Tiffany. I figure we can't go wrong. Interesting, right?
So is this a crypto coin?
It could be. It could be an NFT. It could be.
You know what it is?
Not yet. Not yet. They haven't revealed all the information.
But how much does that weigh?
I think it's an ounce.
Okay, so an ounce. So it's worth, the intrinsic value of it is $2,000.
There you go.
And you paid how much?
10.
10,000. Okay.
But let's see what it is. Let's see what
So you're counting on the fact that either they're going to give some benefits to that coin, right?
Right.
The issue I have with that, okay, is that there's no regulatory clarity right now.
Right, of course.
And like a lot of the stuff violates the securities laws as they currently exist. So I just don't know, like, you know, listen, I could do a wolf coin tomorrow and make $50 million.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Second, and I'm not even against doing it, but if I knew there was some laws to say what's
that you can follow,
not, and I thought that people would make money if they bought it. So so I mean, this is interesting to me. There's no. So they said to you what? There's no. I mean, we can't tell you what we're doing with it.
They haven't announced the benefits yet. I figured, okay, it's Tiffany.
How'd they choose the price of 10,000?
No idea. Didn't ask.
Okay.
I said I want 3.
Fine.
I got 1.
Okay.
Out of 499. We'll see what happens. We'll track it. The Tiff coin.
Trust me, I've done a lot worse things than that.
Yes.
In this world.
Of course.
I do it all the time. I'm just trying to.
I mean, that's a hand of blackjack.
Like, exactly. So for me, like, you know, I invest in stuff. My number is $100,000.
That's your number.
That's my number for stupid investments.
Gotcha.
All right, and I've lost probably $300,000 in stupid.
What's been the biggest return off that 100,000?
Well, the biggest return has gotten substantially lower this week. So I got into one of these DeFi protocols called Titano.
Okay.
And at its peak, I had about $2 million in this.
So 100,000 to 2 million?
I made $2 million in 4 months.
What?
But I didn't sell one penny. I didn't sell anything.
Okay. Are you? Why not cash out a little bit?
Because it's a science project for me.
That's an interesting science project. I think I would just go ahead and shave off at least, 200,000, right?
So I mean, at some point, it was as high as 20 cents. Right now, it's down to like 6 cents, right? But there's a reason for that. It's migrating onto a new platform.
Okay.
And
so you can cash out if you wanted to.
I could cash out, but I wouldn't cash out now. Because every single day, I keep getting more and more of it. I get interest every day. I get paid in tokens. So and I wait a few more days, I have more. So like I'm just at this point. I mean, I'm at the level where I've waited long enough that if I just wait 3 months more, the compounding really kicks in. So to me, it's an experiment. It's a science project.
Science project, yes.
In compound interest, and I'm watching this token compound. And what happens is, I've done all the hard work, which is the waiting and the patience, and not jumping into selling. You can make $1 million on to try to really, because if it keeps going, I can make $50 million.
This is like your casino, man.
Yeah. So like exactly. So it's just like a casino, and then if I'm going to sell, I would obviously, figure out a way to sell it slowly and without, probably at the behest of the developers. I wouldn't push the market.
Oh, okay, got you. So we don't have to go to Hard Rock because we just do it online.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, but like, like that's not really what I do for a living.
Right. That's your science project.
Exactly.
I got a question for you. I saw that you are an investor in the was it Particle? Particle, yeah. I mean, you saw my furry friend sleeping on the way in here. I'm a big animal lover. Talk to me about you and Colin, and how that all started.
Protocols, for me, is a very long-term play. Right?
Okay.
So when I get involved in something, I have a tremendous amount of patience, right? So I love dogs.
Okay.
I love dogs. I'm a huge dog. Have you met my dog?
I didn't see your dog.
I had her away because she gets a little crazy and everyone's.
I understand.
Right?
I understand.
We did her a favor and put it on the farm for a couple of days, right? And she's back now. And
what kind of dog is it?
It's a Labrador, chocolate brown, right?
Okay, awesome.
And she's amazing. She's crazy. She's a puppy, right? But Protocol is basically a way to get the entire pet ecosystem.
Yeah.
Dogs and cats, and the cat lover as well. And eventually also livestock, which is a huge play in livestock. Cows and chickens. And getting all of this onto the blockchain. And in terms of the cows and chickens, you can use that to actually track what hormones they're fed, where these cows were, the entire, farm to table, so to speak.
Okay, that's interesting.
Huge play for that, right? And then for the pet play, it's actually about a combination of the metaverse of getting your pet as an NFT.
Oh, yeah, okay.
With you on the blockchain, and then having an actual tag that has all of the information that would be needed for your pet for terms of the vet. It gets lost, its shots, what it eats, its allergies, and then we have some JVs we're about to announce with some really, really the fastest growing pet companies in the world right now. And it's taking all of that and putting it onto the blockchain and then giving the power back to the dog owner so you can actually choose what information you allow to go out there, and you can get compensated for that in tokens.
So cool.
Right now, the whole data is always the biggest play these days.
Absolutely.
So by corralling all that data onto the blockchain, well, guess what? That data is going to be it's Web3. It's the actual dog owner's data. And before anyone uses that data to try to sell you stuff or target you, you can actually decide how much you want to do, and you'll get compensated in tokens. So the Protocol token, which is actually listed on Coinbase, we're the lowest cap company on Coinbase.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is a great thing to be on Coinbase, by the way, right? But the idea is that with that token, you can get compensated for selling your data, and the whole ecosystem will allow you to get discounts on everything from pet and health insurance to toys to food to stays at certain facilities. And there's also a charitable aspect where we actually using the blockchain to take money and have it go directly to shelters to stop the disaster right now, which is 500,000 dogs a year getting slaughtered for no fucking reason. They don't do that in other parts of the world. So Protocol allows for the transparent application of charity. Because it's on the blockchain, you see the money's going. Right now, if you give money to a charity, you're lucky if 2% goes to the dog charity. Yeah. So we already have 3 rescues that we already are signed with. And we're just not really announcing a lot yet because we're waiting for the platform launches next week.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we're ahead of it.
I think it's going to be a huge benefit to the whole pet community open to livestock.
So it's really interesting. I'm an investor here with Music Swipe, as you know, and we're looking to get into that NFT space as well to help out our artists. But you talk about data, and we're focused in on the data. Like we're Tinder for music, right? So we know what user is swiping left on which clip, what artist, at what time, what location, whether they swipe left or swipe right. And all that data now we're starting to share that with our artists, so they know exactly where they stand with their music, and down to the second. Sure. And there's an NFT play in there, and we'll have to get together and talk about that one because I'd like to get your insights on that. I think that from an artist perspective, we want to give them control that they can participate in a turnkey environment versus like them trying to create, okay, what kind of NFT? What if we had a turnkey system that gave access to their fans at a higher level? I
know that industry. Some of my closest friends own the biggest record labels out there. And,
okay.
Massive producers and the managers and agents for huge artists. And listen, it's a great industry that's in desperate need of being reinvented and disrupted. So, it could be a great thing.
Yeah, I think that we're on the cutting edge with the music tech for that. And I was a little disappointed our NYT New York Times guy didn't get music swipe in the article. I only spelled it out for him, M-U-Z. I see S-W-I-P-E. Come on, brother.
Guy, but the article was just kind of like...
Yeah. So it's interesting.
Nothing, right? It just...
You know, it was, he was a nice guy, and he was there in the trenches. I just thought that, we would get everyone there, get the play in there, but that's okay.
It wasn't a bad article by any stretch. It was just like a nothing burger. So much interesting stuff that happened there, right?
Yeah, there was, and I think around you, there's always interesting things, and I want to ask you a question. I don't need to go all the way back to, the sex and the drugs. The movie speaks for itself, right? And we all love the movie. We're fans. I want to go back to, like, your day one. You're coming out. You're starting over. You had 500,000 going in, and you start out. When you come out, you're zero. Let's talk about that. Where'd you feel like? Where were you? Take us back in time.
I came out of jail, and I didn't have any money, right? And my name was destroyed, my reputation, right? And when I was in jail, though, I had taught myself how to write.
Okay.
So, and I was very fortunate that my bunkmate in jail was Tommy Chong.
Yeah, that's great.
Chong, right? So that was a sort of a mentor to me in jail in terms of writing. And then I used Tom Wolfe as a mentor as well, when it's reading his books and studying. I came out and I had really mastered, at least to enough of an extent that I was proficient at a level that I could get looked at by a professional agent. They would say, wow, your writing is really good.
What time frame was this?
It was 2005, October.
Okay, October 2005, you come out, and where were you in the country?
I was in California, living in Playa del Rey.
Okay, Playa del Rey. Yep. Okay, I'm familiar. I lived there in Manhattan Beach.
Yeah.
So
I moved there a year later.
Okay. Beach, yeah, I understand. So you're going there. You're like, okay, I'm a writer now. You're reinventing yourself.
Correct.
All right. So it's October 2005. Now the book doesn't come out until 2007, though, right?
The book comes out in 2007 because it took me a year to write it.
Okay.
And then it just takes time for them to publish it and market it and everything. And then, but before the book even came out, I already had sold the rights to Leo and Marty.
Oh, okay.
The bidding war with Brad Pitt against Brad Pitt. So there was a lot of publicity. So the book, as a first-time author, I had the benefit of having that news out there in the marketplace. So the book sold all over the world.
Okay, right.
The book was instantly published in 50 countries.
I mean, it's not just an interesting story. There's so many interesting stories.
Yeah. So I got right, and I was very fortunate. And then the book came out, and the movie almost got made right back in 2007. Right when the book came out, they were about to shoot the movie. The writer's strike.
Oh my goodness! This is going back in the recession time. Yeah, 2007, 2008. Yeah.
Strike hit, and they couldn't finish polishing the script, and it was a devastating blow to me because I thought, like, wow, I wrote this book, and right away Leo's gonna play me. I'm gonna be famous, right?
Wow, Leo, that's awesome.
And then once that writer's strike hit, it delayed everything, and just like that, bam. All the momentum was lost, and the movie went into turnaround. The option expired once. They renewed it. They expired again. And then I got the project back, and I was fucked. Now, Leo still said, listen, I want to make this. I love this. I just you got to have patience and just trust me. He said, I said, Leo, you're attached to 100 projects. He said, listen, I am, but this is not one of those. This is my passion project. I'm going to get this made. And every time a friend of mine would run into Leo somewhere and they'd say, oh, I know Jordan, he'd say, tell him I'm making
I'm doing it.
He goes, this is not my, because Leo's every day, he's like, oh, Leo. He attaches to a lot of stuff, right? Because he wants, that's what all the big stars do. But this was not that way. This was a very, very serious undertaking.
How he did not win the Oscar, I have no idea. Amazing.
I don't think people really care much about the Oscars anymore, unless.
Well, but I mean, his acting skills.
I know. So, but it is what it is, right?
So now, what's going through your mind now? You're like, okay, I'm out. I'm getting started. I'm back on track. I got this advancement. I got the book out, and now you're gonna get a movie. But now it goes. Yeah. Now it goes breaks. You're trying to go full speed. Yeah. And then breaks.
I mean, the whole thing was somewhat surreal. Like I never really thought it was going to happen. Like, for instance, I was getting calls like it's happening. And you could, like, they tell me it's, oh my God, it's happening in 2000.
Right.
Like, this seemed like it was too good to be true. Like no pain along the way. It was so weird. And then when it blew up, I'm like, all right, there you go, right?
Yeah,
so
there's the pain, right?
It wasn't like I was like, what? Like I was like, I pay figures, right? So at the time, I was already working on a second book. So because this first book had done so well, Random House optioned my second book. Okay. And they paid me more money, and I started writing. So I was in the middle.
So that kind of got you through.
Yeah, some wasn't that much money. I was like $750,000, right?
So you're not the lifestyle that you were accustomed to, but you were working that way.
No, yeah, it was nothing. I mean, it was taxes and everything else was nothing, right? So, but it was enough to at least keep myself going, right? And then I met a woman and fell in love again. Okay. And then I was writing then a third book. I finished that second book. And then it was going to be a year until it came out, right? Again, because it takes a long time to finish writing it. Yeah, so I, started writing a third book then called Foreclosure, and the book was about the coming. I predicted the mortgage crisis.
So what year was this?
This is 2007 before it happened. Right.
I'm
writing this book, predicting the mortgage crisis in the end of 2007, and I went to Stockton, and I got to page like maybe 80. And I hate writing so much. I just despise it, Very, very
well, thank goodness you worked through it.
Yeah, well,
because we wouldn't have the great movie.
I like having written, but not writing, And I hate writing. So I was with this woman, Ann, we never married officially, but she was my wife, and we were together for many, many years, 12 years, right? And we were up in town in Mendocino, California. We were taking a little just car trip down, and just whatever. Yeah. And we're fighting because I'm miserable. I'm writing so much. She's like, "You're always miserable. You're always miserable." I'm like, "I hate fucking writing." Right. She's like, I'm just like, "I hate when I'm writing. It sucks." And she's like, "I love it. It's great. I love this book." And she loved this book. And she's like, "Keep writing." And I'm like, "I hate it." We just were fighting. So I said, "I need to change. I just can't do this anymore." She was, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Well, I want to be. I'm a really great speaker. I love speaking. Right. I'm good at that, and then it comes naturally to me. Writing doesn't come naturally to me. So, I'm like, all right, let's do that. I'll be a speaker, right?" And she's like, "Right, great." So I called my book agent at the time, and I said, "Listen," I said, "I want to become a speaker. Can you help me get started?" He goes, "Oh my God, it's a great idea." Because you just gotta wait till they make the movie, then they'll come for you.
And this is 2007, 2008.
Early 2008.
Yeah.
And the crisis was just about there.
Oh man.
It was almost there, but not there yet. And I remember I was in my car with my then wife, Ann, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Are you fucking crazy?" I went absolutely wild, started yelling and screaming at him, and I slammed the phone. I said, "Fuck that." I said, "You think I'm waiting for fucking Leo and Marty to make a movie for my life? I'm not waiting, I'm just gonna go out." And I made a decision right then and there to start speaking, right? Wow. And that's how it started, 2008, and right in the middle, and I couldn't even, in my book, Foreclosure, I couldn't sell $50,000. That was the price. Because no one was buying anything. Remember?
Right, exactly. Everyone just held on to whatever they could hold on to.
Exactly. So all money dried up. There's no way to sell the book for anything reasonable. I had the best screenwriter this guy David Fried, a famous screenwriter, right? Loved the book and wanted to adapt it to a screenplay, and he couldn't, even with him there, we couldn't sell it. Universal offered me $50,000 option.
You're like, forget about it.
Versus for Wolf, I got $300,000 up front,
right?
It's much more, millions, right? Bottom line is I started going out there and giving speeches for free. I went to college. Okay. And it was a college in upstate New York, and I gave a speech for free. And when I started speaking, the kids were just going crazy. They loved it, right? I wasn't teaching sales or anything like that.
You were telling your stories.
I gave another speech about motivation and comeback.
Right. Well, listen, we live in America, and everyone loves a comeback here.
Yeah. I got an opportunity to give a paid speech at an entrepreneurship little clique of entrepreneurs for $5,000. And then slowly but surely, my price started going up, and then I got a call to go to Australia. I had a huge fan base in Australia. They wanted me to go. I went to Australia, and I got lucky that I had the people people that took it. It was a great guy, a manager, a company there, named Nick Fordham. And I remember I went there, I made about $300,000 in a couple of weeks, which was changed my life back then. And,
right.
And then I started...
More than a science project.
And then someone that was listening to my speech was like, dude, you got to go on the seminars. That's how it started. And then very quickly, then I pivoted to teaching sales. Because that was really something that, I was reluctant at the beginning. But once I started teaching sales, my career I literally went from making, a few hundred grand to millions and millions a year.
Awesome.
Almost overnight. And then as soon as that started, it just skyrocketed. And that was how, that's the story.
So it's so interesting because, we have, listeners that will go ahead and say, I'm hitting a brick wall, right? And then they'll wait. You just decide, I'm going to bust right through that. I don't care if it's recession. I don't care if everybody's putting me off. I'm going to figure out a way to do it, even if I have to do it for free, to go ahead and get the exposure and then build it up.
No one's going to come for you.
Yeah, right. You got to go for it.
What I did, though, by building this really large business over those years before the movie was able to come out, right, and get together again.
Right.
By the time they got their act together, and I got the call from Leo, guess what? We're ready to go. He came to my house, and I was rich again. And he's like, wait a second, I came to your house last time, and you were living in a tiny apartment. Now you're in a huge mansion on the water. I was living on the Strand in Manhattan Beach.
Oh, yes. Yeah, beautiful area. Yes.
He's like, what the hell happened to your life? What did you do? And I said, I'm in this. I go around the world, and I teach sales. And he goes, show me. And I showed him the video of me on stage, and he was like, oh my God, when Marty sees this, he's gonna go crazy. And sure enough, when he sent it to Marty, he's like, oh my God, we gotta rewrite the whole third act of the movie. And they actually rewrote the movie, and a lot even more. They just made the straight line a much bigger part of it. And this idea that that at the end of it, sell me this pen, which
this pen right here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. And that literally made this a comeback story versus me. And the original movie ended with me going to jail.
Right.
That's when I ended the book. And then the new version was this comeback story, right?
Yes.
And they also inserted the seminars earlier on in the movie. They actually fictionalized stuff to reflect my new life, right? It was very clever what they did. And so the second the movie came out, literally, my career just...
Oh, yeah.
I was already doing really well.
Right.
But that was it.
That was the accelerator.
It was game over. It was like, anywhere in the world. And that was great for like a year. Then that died. The movie died. The movies. Then it had its run. It was in the theater. Then came out in video. And then some strange things started happening, right? Like
this is like around 2014, 2015?
Yeah.
Okay.
So normally a movie comes out and it's a hit and that's it. But then, there's an article comes out, the #1 most illegally downloaded movie in history, Wolf of Wall Street. With 239 million illegal downloads.
Wow.
It beat out Frozen, right?
Beat out Frozen.
Then my daughter calls me. She's like, Dad, she's in college. She's like, I'm in the University of Michigan football stadium, and there's a song, there's 50,000 people pointing at me, chanting your name. There's a song, Jordan Belfort. I'm like, what? So suddenly the movie, it went like this, boom.
Back up again.
It became a cult hit. And
wow.
It's probably one of the biggest cult hits of all time. If not the biggest cult. I think it's probably the biggest, I don't know, another movie that's as big a cult hit. So every single kid watches it 10 times and
even the big kids like me.
Yeah, they started dressing up like it's Halloween and it's probably the most memed movie of all time. And it just took on a life of its own, and then it gets bigger and bigger every single year. And
then you shifted now to the crypto, NFT. Tell us how that happened.
Well, I haven't shifted to crypto. I mean,
you haven't shifted. You changed your mind in crypto.
No, in the sense that I'm still doing the other stuff as well.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm not doing. I'm still.
You're still writing. You're still speaking.
I still speak. I don't. Yeah, I mean, crypto is just one aspect of what I do. I just went from being very bearish to very bullish. Some people were like shocked by that. I'm like, are you fucking idiots?
Right.
I'm wait a second. Like, people go from bearish to bullish every day and things. I mean, what the fuck?
You can change your mind.
If you
when the writing's on the wall.
Unless you're like dead, unless you're a moron, right, and you're not willing to be open to new information and changing circumstances, how could you possibly make money and thrive in the market if you're not going to change your mind about things?
Of course.
Right? And I was actually 100% right about Bitcoin in terms of that when I called it, it's going to crash, it crashed. It went down from 20,000 down to 3,000. I looked to the day almost. I top ticked it and said it was going to crash. Where I was wrong was that I thought it would never come back, which is almost what always happens whenever something that of the nature of a Bitcoin, where there's no underlying actual business. But there is something I missed there. That was huge. That is, there is a business, and it is a decentralized business that is for money exchange. It actually works incredibly well for the exchanging of large amounts of money. It doesn't work well for the exchange of small amounts of money. Yeah, people would say Lightning does, right, or whatever, but that problem got solved later on. But the point was, I was very, very bearish for one reason and one reason only, really, primarily, sovereign risk. To me, the more I learned about Bitcoin, the more this is very, very dangerous for a centralized government like the U.S. that is so dependent on the U.S. dollar being the reserve currency. And I would bet dollars to donuts that if they can go back in time 10 years, they would shut this shit down any way they could. I think they didn't expect it to do what it did, and they look back now and say, what did we do? And that's why I got bullish, because I started seeing that too many institutions were starting to dip their toe in the water, and as these inroads into the mainstream traditional finance started to develop, like there's no way, I know the government well enough, they can't shut it down right now. They can't bar it. They can't ban it, right? And
you gave a great analogy, junk bonds.
Yeah.
How they
regulate them. Exactly.
Regulate them.
Right.
And what happened to the price?
Yeah, they shot up much, much higher once they were regulated. But I think also junk bonds. So there's a big difference here, right? There is so much fraud in the crypto market.
Right.
It's incredible the amount of fraud. I never see anything to this day. It's massive fraud all over the place, right? But that doesn't change the fact that Bitcoin is awesome.
Absolutely.
Because the fraud is not happening in Bitcoin. It's not happening elsewhere. It's happening in all these other little protocols that are being pumped up to outrageous things, and people are just dumping constantly. There's corruption, massive corruption on all these exchanges. Either the centralized exchanges are wild corruption going on, where people are being. There's so much going on.
I'm a fan of peer-to-peer.
Yeah, it's massive corruption, right, in the market right now, and it's going to take another probably 5 years or so for that to sort itself. However, that being said, doesn't mean you can't make a fortune in the midst of this corruption. In fact, there's typically more money made during corrupt times if you know what you're doing, and you don't have to be corrupt. You don't have to be part of the corruption, but the inefficiencies in the corruption create so many opportunities for a legitimate person to make money that I got to a point I couldn't resist it anymore. It's just so easy to make money, and I don't think it's going away. And I'm not involved in the corrupt aspect of the crypto. I'm involved in the legitimate side of crypto. And
then you have the extension of the NFTs. Do you see that growing and getting bigger?
I do, but not. I don't think it's going to be in the way that it is right now. I think 99% of the NFTs right now are completely fucking worthless, and they're going to zero. And there's some great ones out there. And I think that will have utility and
the utility is key.
Things are coming up, but so much of it's just nonsense. You know? But I think NFTs themselves are amazing, and I think things like gaming and other applications, they're just awesome. That's why I'm into the NFT side, but in the gaming side.
Okay.
Play to earn games and stuff like that.
You shared some amazing thing at your mastermind. And I got to do a mastermind, and I got to have you share some amazing things at my mastermind. Like you had some guests come there and share some amazing things. You'd be open for that, right?
I'm open to anything.
And so where does Jordan see himself 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What island are we going to be on?
Probably the island of Miami. Listen, I like it down here a lot. I love what I'm doing right now. I'm involved in a lot of deals. I'm getting involved in new deals every week. I'm very particular about what deals I do. But I think that we're living in an incredibly exciting time. And I'm happy to be part of it, because I just think we're seeing the whole financial system being rebuilt from the ground up. I don't think the old one's going away. I think they're going to run side by side. But I think that this new system will be much larger than the old one, and And I think that if you're smart, you can make a fortune.
Absolutely, definitely. Well, listen, I'm happy that you're in Miami. We're neighbors. I'm looking forward to hopping on the yachts with you around here in Miami and enjoying the Miami lifestyle. And I just wanted to go ahead and thank you for taking the time to be our guest here on Full Speed. Jordan Belfort, baby.